Hi folks, it's the Tuesday the 25th of August. It's about 3 p.m, 4 p.m. local time where I am. And this is a video on the coming full moon, which is nearly a total eclipse of the moon. Now, the full moon's actually going to be on Friday the 28th at about 18 minutes past 5 in the morning UK time. The full moon is going to be at 4 degrees 58 minutes of Pisces. This is the actual astronomy of it. Because the North Node is in early Virgo and the Sun is in early Virgo and the Moon is in early Pisces, therefore it will be a near total eclipse of the Moon. 0.9192 of the Moon will be obscured by the Earth's shadow. So the moon is going to go quite dark, and depending on the atmospheric conditions wherever you are, it will turn brown, ochre, gold, perhaps red. And one little sliver of the moon, similar to that which we saw with the solar eclipse of a week and a half ago, will remain bright. Lunar eclipses are relatively common. They happen every year. Sometimes twice a year, rarely, but sometimes. And they're nowhere near as meaningful or significant as solar eclipses most of the time. But this one is different. So why is it different? Firstly, the moon is going to be opposite the sun. The sun will be at 4 degrees 58 of Virgo. The moon will be at 4 degrees 58 of Pisces. Straight line. Opposite each other with the Earth in the middle, which is why it's an eclipse, because the moon will shut off the light of the sun from the moon. The moon's light will be occluded. Okay, that's, as I say, not uncommon. What is uncommon is that with the sun and moon at opposite sides of the Earth, with the Earth in the middle, at right angles to both of them is the planet Uranus. And Uranus, if the full moon is going to be at 4 degrees 58, Virgo and Pisces, Uranus is going to be at something like 5 degrees 35, 5 degrees 40 of Gemini. So it's 3/4 of 1 degree away from exactitude. Make that in terms of odds, it's 1 in 500. 1/500th of a circle away from being precise. Now a square, Uranus will be squaring the sun and squaring the moon. A square is a challenging aspect in astrology. It puts two forces at odds with each other in direct contact. And it normally manifests as a challenge, a problem, and it brings circumstances which have to be struggled with to be overcome or managed. And I don't think this is any different, except that it's Uranus we're dealing with. Now, Uranus is different to every other planet in the sky. Every other planet in our solar system spins like that, round and round, from left to right. Uranus doesn't. Uranus goes like that, north to south. Its poles are on its equator. Everything about Uranus is different. It's surrounded by a very electric blue cloud of methane. And occasionally you see white clouds come through the surface, but rarely. Uranus seems to be very active in the field of electricity. It was discovered at the same time as the birthday of Faraday and Watt. It's the planet of revolution. It was discovered at the time of the American and French revolutions. Uranus is the change bringer. And change can be disruptive, chaotic, dramatic and unpredictable. It can pull the rug from underneath your feet and send everything spinning. And change can also be innovative, exciting, fun and adventure, with words like independence, freedom and liberty. And often it's a mixture of them both. But because Uranus is squaring both the sun and the moon at the moment of full moon, it does seem as if this is like a short, sharp shock. It wouldn't surprise me if within 36 hours before the full moon or 36 hours after the full moon, there are not one or two incisive, sharp, focused actions and events in the world that catch a lot of people unawares and are shocking in their impact. This can happen in a number of fields, in a number of different areas and arenas. The nature of Uranus is that it is unpredictable. And it's almost as if it delights in going against what everyone says. So any astrologer who's making predictions around this full moon, Uranus is going to do exactly the opposite of the forecast, of a prediction. But then, prediction is a fool's game. Anybody who says they can predict the future is either genuinely psychic, in which case I feel very sorry for them, or they're lying. I never make predictions. I tell all my clients I'm not going to make predictions. I'll give you timings and areas, but what you do with that is up to you. It's a forecast, not a prediction. And it's different. Prediction says this will happen. Forecast says this is likely to happen if everything goes according to the way we think it's going to happen. Uranus square the Sun. These people born with Sun square Uranus, they're not normal. They're not abnormal, but they excel in doing things in ways that surprise and sometimes shock other people around them. Moon square Uranus people also don't fit the conventional routine. Their responses to emotional patterns are often quite surprising, eclectic and unusual. Now, when you get the Sun and Moon in aspect with Pluto, you're dealing with, deep psychological stuff that's borderline psychic. When you're dealing with Sun, Moon connections with Neptune, it's very intuitive, subliminal. But when you're dealing with Sun, Moon with Uranus, it's precognitive or it's cognitive. It deals with time. And the thing with Uranus is it's often exact with its timing. So, bearing in mind that the Sun will be within 1 degree of squaring Uranus for 48 hours, but the Moon will only be within 1 or 2 degrees of squaring Uranus for about 4 hours. So we can be reasonably confident that if anything sudden, dramatic and out of the blue is going to happen, it's going to happen within 24 hours of the new moon, either before or after. It's an additional problem that at the time of the new moon, Mars in the sky is less than 3 degrees away from Saturn. Most squares create problems, but they also release enough energy for people who are well versed in astrology and comfortable with themselves to be able to change those energetic problems, to be able to manage them, work with them, and use that energy to turn the problems into gifts. But Mars square Saturn is a stinker. Mars in Cancer is Saturn's opposite sign. And Saturn is in Aries, which is Mars's sign. So they're both coming from areas where they're not really that comfortable. And Mars square Saturn it can be blunt, unsophisticated, it can be a sledgehammer, it can be aggressive and confrontational and violent. It is one of the most difficult aspects in a horoscope for anger management. It can also be sharp, acerbic, acute. People born with Mars square Saturn have incredible stamina, resilience, determination, thoroughness, perseverance. They're not always the most subtle, but they get things done and nothing really gets in their way. But it's different in a person's chart as opposed to in a transit chart for the moment of the day. Mars will square Saturn exactly on September the 1st. But it's already well within range. It's less than 5 degrees away as I record this. And it's only getting stronger over the coming week. So Mars square Saturn is quite a warlike aspect. So I think it's safe to say that in the already existing theatres of warfare on the world, that there's not going to be any successful peace talks or negotiations in the coming week. Therefore, various bluffs are going to be called. With Mars square Saturn and the Sun and Moon squaring Uranus, well, if I were running this place, I'd be telling first of all, I'd be telling everyone to just back off and to just sit down and do nothing for a week and not to be pulling any triggers or pressing any buttons. But that's not going to happen. And secondly, I'd be saying look for unusual solutions. Think outside the box. Find a way of using the energy so that it doesn't use you. Make changes. Act as opposed to react. Because I suspect there's going to be one or two actions in the coming week where a lot of people are then going to react, and it goes like, oh, it all started when he hit me back. It's never my fault. It's always someone else's fault. Now, I'm on record earlier this year as having said that 95% of all the challenges, astrological challenges of 2026 are over by the end of July. But a few months ago, I amended that, and I said it's all going to be over by the very start of September, end of August, start of September. It's like everything we've dealt with so far this year, all the moons in the same sign, in the same degree, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, the 7-planet lineup in Aries, the basket, the Jupiter-Pluto opposition. These have all been sort of major hardware upgrades. Not software. Software is just programs changing. This is hardware. And in many ways, the human species, it's been through a big hardware upgrade. And it's not like Windows 10 to Windows 11. It's like Windows 3 to the latest Mac. The whole operating system individually and perhaps collectively has gone through a big upgrade. And now this full moon, almost total eclipse, is taking place at 4 degrees of Pisces. And we've had Pluto at 4 Aquarius, Neptune at 4 Aries, Uranus at 4 Gemini, Jupiter at 4 Leo. And now this moon is at 4 degrees of Pisces on the Neptune-Pluto midpoint. Something's going to give. And in an ideal world, someone's going to come out of the mix and go, hey, I've got a new solution here. How about this? And sensible minds will prevail and sit down and talk things through, and compromises, adjustments and agreements will be made. But that's in the ideal world. Realistically, there's going to be a lot of chest beating and a lot of, well, he made me, or she said, and it's not my fault, and I've got a bigger bomb than you have. But this is the last big astrological moment of 2026. I still say that by the time we're into the second week of September, we're entering a 4-month period where there's going to be a significant decline in astrological activity, and this should then manifest on the surface of our planet, and hopefully underneath as well, as people actually backing off from any further confrontational actions. I live in eternal optimism and hope, even though that's sometimes not very realistic. So, for hopefully the last time this year, I say to you, look, it's going to be very easy for you to get your buttons pushed in this next 7 or 8 days, through to September the 2nd, maybe September the 3rd. The hardest thing to do is the best thing to do. And that's to say, okay, I've heard you. I've listened to you. I'm now going to walk away and think about it. And I'll come back to you halfway through the first week of September, and then we'll sit down and thresh it out and come to an agreement. Direct action over the coming week is not going to resolve anything. It's only going to exacerbate the situation and make it worse. So I know that the power brokers of the world won't. They don't disbelieve in astrology. They don't disbelieve it. They just won't use it because to them, power is everything. Being powerful as opposed to power-filled. But to you out there, the intelligentsia, the ones who use astrology and work with it and allow it into your lives, at least at a student level, if not a practitioner level, just, step back. Don't get too deeply involved and don't get too strident. There's going to be a lot of loud voices. Don't be one of them. Okay, sermon over. I'll catch you very shortly. All right, be well, world. Bye.